welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced and get happy with Dr. Marissa. And this show is about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have shows and topics.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days.
Monday, Tuesday,
Happy days.
Wednesday, Thursday,
Happy days.
Friday, whatever.
Happy days.
What a day. Na, 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 na.
I love you.
I love you too.
Best known as the mom from Happy Days, and she is a delightful 89-year young Marion Ross to my studio. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Dr. Marissa, this is such a treat for me.
Oh.
My goodness, you're a wonderment.
Which is exactly the kind of guest that I like. Those who have gone through life, good and bad, and then taken those experiences to alchemize them into the person they are now and doing good on the planet. I'd like you to welcome Corey Feldman.
If you're grateful for it and you say right away, thank you, God. Oh, my God, it's so beautiful. I'm so blessed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then guess what? More good things will come to you.
Does this sound familiar at all? She's back again to mark my Cancer Awareness and Prevention Month show. Please welcome Fran Drescher. Hi, Fran.
On and supporting cancer schmance. I really appreciate it.
So what would you say are some of the biggest myths, Fran, that people have about cancer?
Well, I would say that they think that there's a cure for it.
Okay.
Instead of a cause for it.
This is the first call-in show when I get to be Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura. And people call in to get their life tires balanced and their critical thinking or their BS, their belief systems, smog checked. And today I am delighted to have Malie calling in from Birmingham, Alabama.
We could go 90 days and end up having terrible sex. And then you say, well, the relationship's not all about sex. Well, if I'm not getting great sex from you, then I'm going to get it from somebody else. Right?
That moose just got put on the table. And I see Josh and Jim.
I have to agree
You're
with Clyde.
both nodding. Ramon's sort of half nodding because his wife's listening. But
I understood what was going to happen if Muhammad Ali's youngest daughter, made public that I was going to become a boxer. So I wanted to make sure this was the path that I wanted to go down.
you are absolutely fabulous, beautiful inside and out. And I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award today.
Thank you.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic point.
When I go, I'm gone.
Are you lonely?
No.
Nah, I knew that was going to be
But
the answer.
I surround myself with people. I mean, I'm always the one cooking for things. But I'm always the one that decorates first and come to my house. All the orphans that have no place.
I'm going to have no place to go, so I
Okay,
can come over.
come on over.
And life is so amazing
if we can see it.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah, and 25 years strong, #1 talk in the IE and beyond. And let's see, also streaming on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Streaker, Spreaker, and more. I am Dr. Marissa, your hashtag positively opinionated host. And today, as you can tell, is Thursday because we have my fabulous co-host of Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
James Hawthorn. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning to you. Welcome back to the show. It is the day that sort of runways me into the weekend, so we can get to be a little more naughty than we are maybe on a Monday or a Tuesday. I'm so delighted. It's been you're no longer my new co-host. You're a veteran now. How long have you been with me? I tried to count.
I'm a semi-professional amateur. I wouldn't say veteran yet. We're ramping up into veteran status. I feel like it's been maybe 4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 months? Yeah. You just like slid right in there, fit right in there, and if the glove fits, well, anyways. We're so delighted to have you. We've got a great topic this morning. You want to give a preview?
Sure, absolutely. We're trying to make dating fun again. All the swiping on the apps, people not replying, ghosting. It's so hard to actually set up and keep a date. We're going to try to find ways to make it the process a little bit more fun.
Yes, and with that in mind, the big announcement today is we are going to have the straight version, which is straight talk version, I should say. Straight talk version of the dating game, because we all know that James and I like the same thing because we're on opposite teams. So we get to include everything in this new dating game. We're moving away from what I'm calling dating HD, which has been my experience dating HD, not high definition, but H stands for hope, D stands for disappointment. So I've been on this dating hope, disappointment. So we're going to look for alternatives for that. That's the topic for today. But before we do that, you know the drill. We start every show on my show with breakfast. And we're going to have breakfast together, taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich. What is that? Top of the bun, 8 specific things that we're grateful for outside of ourselves. And on the bottom, 8 specific things that we appreciate about ourselves, because I like it on the bottom. So, James, what are you grateful for?
I'm looking out at this beautiful May gray day. I'm grateful for these 2 months of semi-bipolar weather that we have. Keeps you on your toes, keeps things fresh. I love it.
Yeah, grateful that we have running water and hot showers, be able to wash your hands. Not everybody has clean water around the world.
That's a great one. You don't even think about that. But some people have to walk 5 miles each way to bring usable water back. I'm grateful that my dog is finally growing up. I didn't have a chance to take him out this morning, and he has got a great big bladder. So I'm really happy that he'll be just fine. until after the show, sleeping peacefully on the couch over there.
Aw.
It's fun to see him mature into a handsome, furry, four-legged man.
That's great. I'm grateful that my grand dog son, who just turned 3, he's a Frenchie. He's coming down for a visit with his mom and dad for Memorial Day weekend. And his birthday was the same day as, the day after Stevie Wonder and the same day as Ranella, my stand-in co-host who found me on social. She does all the singing. By the way, she has sung for the Dodgers.
Wow.
Opening. And while I'm saying that, I want 2 tickets to the opener. So I'm on the list. And for those of you who don't know, James offered as an Asian Oprah giveaway last week. He's got connections. So if you participate today in the comment section, for those of you, I see eyeballs already in. We've already gotten a finger, James. Somebody gave us this finger.
Good.
Somewhere along the way when we were talking. So So if you participate, if you're driving right now, listening to the AM 1050 FM 106 side, do not comment, do not type on your phone while you're driving. But when you land wherever you are, we'd love to have you. It's in my link tree, the YouTube link. If you free subscribe, then you'll get an alert every weekday morning that I'm going live and you can play along because we do love participation. All right.
Yes, I can put in a request for just about any game for 2 free tickets. Ask about 1 to 2 weeks in advance, and almost every time he's able to secure really, really good seats, which is great. And if we don't get you the date of your choice, we'll try again, and we'll put in a second request for you. But we'll get it done for you.
That's awesome. I actually got a soundbite with Kershaw.
Oh, that's great.
Several years ago, so that was kind of cool. And then the Angels GM, and then the owner of was it the Ducks or the Angels? Anyways, I get my sports stuff mixed up all the time, but hey, that's my 12% not perfect. All right, let's go to the bottom of the bun, which is what do we like about ourselves? I'll start. I appreciate my ability to ask for what I want, and that is sometimes not easy because you don't want to upset the apple cart, or if you feel like you don't deserve something, then you don't ask, and then you'll never know. And I was brave enough to ask for several things this last week, and I got all of them. So I'm feeling quite deserving. So I'm happy about that.
I like that that I'm able to wake up ready to take on the day. Mentally, I'm glad that I wake up without any mental fog, and that I'm able to get right to work on things rather than having to ramp up into it. And if I am lagging behind, usually just a quick shower and I'm alert. I'm awake. I'm more of a 2 p.m. cup of coffee guy as opposed to a 8 a.m. cup of coffee guy. So I'm grateful for that. I like that about myself, that I'm ready to go when I open my eyes in the morning.
Yay. I appreciate my ability to create and innovate and put together talks. I don't know if I told you, I'm going to China, right, with my younger daughter in June, and you get a 3-week vacation from the show, which is, I've never done that. So that's going to be good for me too. And I'm speaking at 2 universities while I am in China, which is pretty cool. And I didn't realize that that was going to be an opportunity, and I'm very grateful. And I'm also going to be teaching at UCLA in the fall, leadership and happiness. So those things just came through yesterday, and I appreciate knowing that I have the chutzpah to write up speeches for a lot of different topics. And I appreciate that about myself.
That's great. That's great.
Thank
I like
you.
that I'm able to tackle complex problems in a like methodical way. that I can use logic, not get overwhelmed, and kind of figure out how to deal with difficult things. I like that I'm able to do that and not just be like, what do I do? So I'm grateful for that, for being able to figure things out and work through problems in a smart way. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning,
See
Trevor.
him
Did you
writing
see
in.
Trevor? Yeah. Trevor, I did answer your question from last time. I hope you saw that. Even though the signal for 1050 doesn't quite reach outside of the 5 million homes in the California area, we are streaming on all those platforms that I mentioned at the beginning, plus over 100 countries. So that's the good news. So if you're interested in being a sponsor, your message will be getting out to quite a few people. So that's I was trying to give that information. I went to your channel, but there was no way to message you. So just so you know, we do see and we do listen and we do respond. So no, there's nothing to apologize for. All right, that is Breakfast with Dr. Marissa and
James Hawthorn.
We're so happy that we are able to start every show and sandwich your day in the most positive way. Specifically, if you tuned in and you were wondering why James and I were talking so positively about ourselves, which is a little bit different than what is, usually you don't toot your own horn somewhere public necessarily. At least I was taught not to do that. It's part of a hashtag Blisscipline and a good life habit that I would like all of you to adopt, so that you're not going to bed at night thinking about how bad you are. You forgot to do this, or who's done you wrong. Instead, I want you to affirm yourself so that you can get a good night's sleep and then get up like James gets up in the morning with that zippity doo dah go. All right. Thank you so much. That was breakfast. And where is it? Wait for it. Here it is. Fantastic. Here we go. Dating. How do we make dating fun? So for those of you who aren't dating, doesn't mean that this isn't pertinent to you. This could be about your relationships too, that have gotten a little stale maybe, or are, ground zero or less. And we wanted to also be able to create a template, because we're ready. We have, I think we have at least 8 single people that are ready to play our dating game. And so now they're saying, what do I tell you? What do I fill out? And all of that. So we're going to design this on the show today, as with you who are listening and would like to contribute. What is important to match on that you can actually get from an application? So what are you looking at when you're swiping? What are your most important delineations on whether you want to talk to someone or not, or meet someone or not? So that's sort of the to-do thing today on today's show. And then the context is, making dating fun again. I think that's mostly for me because I was venting to James.
Oh no, it's universal. It's you could feel like you're wasting a lot of time on the app swiping and talking, thinking it's going somewhere, and then the date doesn't actually happen, or the person's a little flaky and they reschedule a bunch of times, and that can be sort of exhausting. So how do you frame that where you can still stay out there, play the game, enjoy the process, and not feel overwhelmed by that? I think that's definitely my side of it. So you're not alone in that. I love that you said this is conversations also for people that are in relationships, because dating is not just for single people. It's for people that have kids, have busy jobs. You got to carve out that time and find a way to do something fun together. So I definitely like that. We're remembering those folks and not excluding them from the conversation. So if you've had a partner for 20 years, what's a way to keep it fresh, keep it fun, and keep that that flare that maybe you had when you first met alive, that flame?
Great. Interesting comment from the Cashew Gallery. Trevor's saying that he's never dated a woman before. Is that because you are playing on the same team as James? Or is it because you have never dated a woman before and you want to? So that was an interesting comment. So
yes, I was very thorough and empirical in my journey to where I am today. I tried it, wasn't for me. I had to make sure and check. But then again, I think it's just amazing how different things are today for, say, a teenager coming up than it was for me more than 20 years ago. Just night and day difference. I think it's nice that people, there's a lower barrier to entry to be who you are and not feel like you need to,
literally
dance around it.
Okay, I'm gonna put the moose on the table. So I brought this back from Canada. Isn't he cute? So moose on the table is my Canadian way of saying, let's talk about the elephant in the room, because you just said barrier to entry, literally. And so how does one know if they are bi, straight, heterosexual? So that you said, and you're a good one to ask because you've gone through that experience. You said you tried. You just take me in a little snapshot, and you're not speaking on behalf of all gay men, but I am curious. I'm bi-curious in the sense that I'm curious on, how do I know if I am bi, or how do I know if I am not?
Well, for one thing, I mean, I'll start with just a little bit of science. There's this scientist, Kinsey, the Kinsey scale, and he, says that people aren't just this, that, or the other. It's like a sliding scale. And depending on what sort of culture or society you grow up in, that might inform where you ultimately land, depending on how fluid maybe that culture is. So, I think a good thing to do to start with is look at that and see if that resonates with you. If you do a little research on that, this advice is for anybody that might be questioning or unsure. And, for me to speak personally about it, I knew what I fantasized about sexually, but I also felt like I didn't necessarily fit in culturally with some of the other stereotypes that existed and were more prevalent 20 years ago, 25 years ago than they are now. So I said, well, this piece fits, but the other piece doesn't fit. So maybe, my fancies or desires are more of like a fetish or a kink, because, I did some research on that too online. So I said, well, there's only one way to find out. So, dated a handful of women, had a number of experiences, and I said, man, this just isn't doing it for me. So maybe what I also fantasize about, or what I definitely fantasize more about, lean into that, do that, and got to try that too. And then I knew. And then I realized that the stereotypes are just a bunch of baloney.
Which ones in particular?
Well, I mean, I come across to a lot of people, I've been told, is just a very masculine, straight seeming guy. I don't have some of the stereotypical affects, vocally or physically. I love going to a sports game. I like going out on a boat and going deep sea fishing. I mean, a lot of these things aren't necessarily the most stereotypically gay or homosexual traits or qualities. And so I've always sort of been that way. And so that made it a little bit confusing for me. And especially in a society that's quick to stereotype, and look for the easy way out to label folks. So I think it took me a little bit longer than it would have if I was a teenager today.
Great. Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. I mean, certainly, I don't think I'm the only divorcee that has questioned, maybe what I'm looking for in relationships, I can't get from a guy. Maybe a woman would be more sensitive or caring or whatever that is, or want to please me more so than the experiences I've had with guys. So the thought has crossed my mind. It has also, my husband made a point during the divorce process to try to, I don't know if get me in trouble or ridicule or shame me, but he found on Craigslist an ad that said, Asian woman disillusioned with marriage, looking for Asian or Caucasian woman. Now, he didn't write this up. He actually found something written that way, copied it, photocopied it many times, and put it all over Seal Beach.
Oh, geez.
With blue tape. So my landlord found it, you know, on the woman that he wasn't having an affair with, her window and the car. And to make sure I knew it was him, he would put the ad up as he was picking up the kids. And when I would try to call the kids, he changed his outgoing to say, if you're an Asian woman, press 1. If you're a Caucasian woman, press 2. So the downside of that is
there's an upside?
There is an upside. The downside, thank you. The downside is the moms, I was the first public, divorce in this little town of Seal Beach. And so I literally had moms come and tell me that I shouldn't be doing this. And it was really quite upsetting. And ironically, they ended up getting divorced too. But there was a rumor in Seal Beach that I had a website with naked women on it. So that's the downside. The upside was because he actually got caught doing that during the custody process. He wanted full custody, and because he had put glue on my car, and when the police went to question him, he denied the glue, but then mentioned the signs, which they didn't even mention. So he implicated himself. And as a result of that, I got 50-50 custody, even though he was the primary, because I worked. I was the full-time breadwinner, and he didn't like to work, so he took care of the kids. So that was the upside, is that I actually benefited from that. So
that's such a wacky story. What a wacky way to deal with a marriage not working on his part. That's nutty. We've been doing this we've talked a lot about your husband on the show over the last 5 months. I didn't know that about you. And frankly, folks, this is why dating could be so much fun. You sit down, you have a meal with people. If you're willing to be open and share your stories, you can learn a lot of really interesting stuff about people. And you might find a connection in the most bizarre place. So speaking of making dating fun again, I think go there and be a bit of an open book and share and see what people share back with you. I love learning about people. So even if the chemistry is not there, if I can just let go of the attachment to the outcome of, this person's not the partner, here's a waste of $40 and, a couple hours of my time for dinner or whatever it might be, instead be like, wow, aren't people fascinating? I just get such a kick out of learning about folks and meeting different people. That can be fun, I think, if you go into it with that sort of mindset.
Well, I will agree on one hand in the sense that the expectation, I think, really makes a difference whether you're going to have fun or not. If you go in thinking, I'm looking for that needle in the haystack, which is what I'd been doing, then you're going to get disappointed all the time, because it's when I finally realized after I vented to you, my expectation that I'm going to have one date and all of a sudden meet the next chapter in my book of romance. It's going to be incredible. And it's going to be, that first sight, you complete me, but kind of BS. Bullshitaki is really unreasonable. So yes, for sure. The expectation is to just get to know someone and have a good time, no matter who it's with, trying to find some level of connection. And for me, the chemistry test is how many different ways do we connect, right? And if it's like a little bit and not a lot, okay. You still had, that's why I like to go to my favorite restaurants, because it's still, I'm going to get something out of the date that is satisfying, which is the meal. But the other part of it though is telling a story like that and telling I don't think it's ever a good idea to talk too much about your husband or your ex in the first date, because I'll tell you, every time someone has gone there, it's not been good, because I just hear the complaining and it's all their fault and their nutcase and da 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 da. And it just, for me, that's like takes two to make any relationship work. And if you're going to point the finger and call that person, not that just for me shows a sign of non-self-awareness, which is one of my things, right?
Well, with regards to that specific story, I definitely agree. But more in general, the idea of sharing things about yourself and being open, I think in general is a good thing. But yes, I agree that avoiding X talk on the first date is a smart move for both parties. You don't want to get things started on a negative foot. I think more often than not, it certainly goes down that path. And then it begs the question, well, if this is still so much on your heart and mind, are you really ready to date and enter into a relationship again, or do you need some more time to heal solo? So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering why we're talking about sliding, and it's not all lube, but we are talking about dating and making it fun again. This is Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
James Hawthorn.
Here on KCAA AM 1050 FM 106.5 NBC News Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind, streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course, all my shows, 1,163 now, podcast shows on my YouTube TV channel, where if you free subscribe, you'll get an alert every weekday morning to tune in. And let's go to dating, the dating game. So the Straight Talk dating game is something that James and I are going to start here on the show with anyone who is single and interested in participating. It's a little bit of a game and a little bit of an experiment, because we have our experience and it's fresh in my mind. I actually went on 2 dates on the same day because well, look at his face. Well,
busy,
one of the things is geography, right? Hey, when I was single before I got married and I was dating, I did 5 dates in a day. I would have a breakfast date, I would have a lunch date, I would have a happy hour date, I'd have a dinner date, and then I'd have an after dinner drinks date. And
that's one way to make sure you don't have sex on the first date. Sorry, gotta go. Meeting someone else. Gotta go. Maybe next time.
Well, it's like, you do have to go through quite a bit to discover if you're a match or not, right? So
go through a lot of hay in the stack to find the needle.
Right. And you know how big those needles are. So on the application, what are we going to ask as far as the initial, how we're going to match them on the show? Okay.
Yes, and this we want to open up to those that are not currently driving, but that would like to type in and comment, because we want this show to be not just entertaining for you guys, but helpful for the folks that are participating. So what sorts of things, when let's say you're an app person and you're swiping on the apps, what sorts of things do you gravitate towards when you're reading about an individual? You're like, yep, passes the eye test, the looks test. What categories matter to you when you decide if you want to set up a date with them or not? For me, I'll kick it off and say just their ideal weekend. How do you like to spend your weekend? So when you're not working, what's your ideal way to kick back and enjoy your weekend?
So what is now, that's going to tell you something about their personality, right?
Sure.
But before that, is it important to say, are you interested in men or women? Right?
Oh, well, of course. Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's go to the first part first. Like, what are the, like, has to be? First question is dating targets.
Yeah. Dating targets. So there's a lot under that umbrella, in that vertical, if you will.
Yes.
So yes, what are you interested in? Men, women, trans, both?
Okay, so target men or women or trans or both
or all of the above.
Or all of the above. Is that all the categories?
Pretty much. I mean, you can really splice it, but I think that's pretty encompassing and inclusive.
Is that good?
Yeah. As opposed to all of the above. I mean, it could be, or multiple, because it might not be all of those, but it might be women and trans or men and trans. So, so rather than all of the above, maybe say multiple.
Okay.
Because that multiple then also includes pansexual, which would be the all of the above category or preference. So I think multiple encompasses that. I would say age target. While I don't necessarily endorse ageism, I certainly have a age bracket where I feel like I'm more inclined to have success in terms of chemistry.
Okay. So let's break that down. Age bracket, do we want to do like teenager? No.
Not if you want to stay on the air.
Yeah. Illegal, legal. So age bracket would be, let's see, 30 and under, 30 to 50, 50 to 70. Is that about?
Could be, yeah, well, or you can be cute with it. Old enough to drink, old enough to be president of the United States, old enough to get an AARP card. No, I think I think you just ask people what's the bracket? What age bracket are you? I think that's more of an open-ended one, unless you want it to be a multiple choice. Unless we have to do a multiple choice.
Well, that's what I was thinking. That's how the swiping goes usually.
Sure. But you can allow people to click multiple buttons. For example, let's say their bracket is 30 to 50. Well, they can click 30 to 40, 40 to 50. They can click both buttons.
Here's a thought that just came to mind. See what you think of this. The first question is, I feel and act and look like I am, in my 40s, 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s.
Great. I love that. Feel, act, and look.
Okay. So instead of asking what I want, first is my age, which is look, feel, act. So you can do 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s.
1 foot in the ground. Let's face it, some people feel old.
To date. Okay, there's the categories. So my age, look, feel, and act.
Hey, my mom's dating in her 70s, so
Oh, okay. So correct, which is the asterisk. I need my glasses.
And then there are some people that might be in their 50s, but unfortunately they act and look like they're in their 70s. Some people are brutally honest with themselves about themselves, so that's a thing.
So asterisk is 70s. Let's just, I shouldn't have put too old a date. So we'll just do 70s, 80s to replace that. Okay. So there's age. And then, so looking for, and then the same thing, right?
Yeah, I think
Someone
so.
who, right? Looking for someone who feels like they are. That's I like that. This is like a new thing that other dating places don't have, right? They just have the biological age.
I agree. Look, feel,
Same
and act is
ranking.
definitely more specific, and I think a better way to.
Right. So then I'm going to say the next one I think is important is red flags. Now, this one I'm like, I won't even talk to anyone if they like the orange-haired president.
Right.
Like, not just because I know that I don't want to argue about that. I don't want to debate about it. I don't want to get into any kind of conflict, right? Around that. It's just a preference, right?
Now that's a
And
tough one to put into a multiple choice, though. I feel like that one kind of has to be open ended.
Okay. So what are your top 3 red flags?
Yes.
How about that? What are your top 3 red flags? Okay. So
non-starters, no-goes.
Smoking is one, trumping. What is that? Criminal record.
Sure. Yeah. That, I mean, that's one. Employment status, stance on monogamy could be a non-starter.
Oh, yeah. Employment status. What else? Oh, geography. Right? What else?
Fidelity. Have
Religion.
they ever cheated, Some people, some people might not even want to give somebody the benefit of the doubt that they, have reformed or that, they cheated for very specific reasons.
How do you spell monogamy? Oh, it must be an A.
Yeah, I mean, besides smoking, there's drinking, drug use. People are on all different sides of the coin with that.
Yep. Drugs.
So, I mean, you could lump all of that, into substance, and then the categories would be drinking, smoking, drugs.
Substance. Well, I think that's different though, because you can have people who are like no smokers, but they'll do 420.
Right. Yeah. Or there's California sober people that, love a little marijuana, but won't ever touch a drink, right? Or a cigarette.
Drug use. What else? I think that's pretty extensive.
I think that's pretty good.
Smoking, trumping, criminal record. I should take trumping out. Politics. I'll just put
political disparity. If there's a difference in political disparity.
Political. Well, I'm just listing based on the indices. So criminal record, employment status, geography, religion. And this is the part I think is personal, because some people, for me, I do have pretty strong lines, but that doesn't mean everybody does, right? If they have no red flags and they're like good with anyone.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Some people are going to be more or less open-minded or accepting, or another reason to not have red flags is they don't know what they don't know. They haven't been burned enough yet.
Right. Okay. So, I forgot to put one really important one. Kids at home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Want more kids. That's an important one. Okay. So here's some more for our straight talk dating game. It's going to have that on the because otherwise we're going to be matching based, on nothing.
Right.
Right. Okay.
On a wing and a prayer.
So then we go to, I think the question you asked about like perfect weekend is kind of like perfect date, or I would like to do something a little more moose on the table, which is who should make the first move on setting up a date, me or them, right? So that is one thing that has driven me crazy in all of this, is that the men will say, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, I can't wait to get to know you, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm waiting for them to offer their number. Nothing. I'm waiting for them to say, let's meet at this place. Nothing. I'll say, here's my number. Nothing. I'll say, I'm coming up to your area. Are you busy? And they'll say, can't wait to meet you, but I'm busy this day. They don't offer another day back. And I'm just done. Like, I've done it twice. That's like one time too many. If my new rule is, if I offer once and you can't do it and you don't come back to me, it's unmatched.
Yeah, I have a girlfriend who went through that same thing. It was encountering the same guy over and over for months, and they would go on eventually they went out a few times, but there was no follow-up, no follow-through. Mm-hmm. And she just had to wash her hands of it and say, moving on, I can't take it anymore. It's too much.
Yeah. In talking to some of the guys who like sounded more like friend, connections, they said that, they're fatigued from it, which is why they don't make the effort. That's one reason. The other reason is there's so many possibilities, right? You just keep swiping. It's like the endless candy tray or candy store. And so nothing is so what I think, my theory is, it's not only difficult to find somebody you match with on all of these levels that we just spoke here, but to do it on the timing basis of where you open right now and that person's not open. You're closed right now and that person's open to it, so it's
Although I do believe that if somebody wants to do it, there is the time in the day. And if somebody wants to do it, they'll juggle their priorities and they'll make it happen. And this is something I want to share for anybody who's out there listening, saying, oh, I don't have time to date, or I feel overwhelmed, stressed. I really encourage, just a little unsolicited self-help advice. I encourage you to write down how you're spending your time and look. And if you can't figure out where all the 168 hours in a week are going, you're probably doing some mindless scrolling on your phone. For example, a good exercise is, on average, a person needs about 8 hours of sleep a night. That's 56 hours a week. 168 minus 56 gives you 112. Let's say you have a really demanding job and you're working 60 hours a week instead of 40. Well, you've still got 52 hours left over. Even when you factor in showering, bathroom, chores, errands, I know that's not 52 hours a week. The time is there. So I encourage anybody that feels overwhelmed or stressed. It's not, so you can browbeat yourself and say, oh, I'm wasting so much time. It's for you to discover opportunities to carve out things that are more meaningful for you and throw away things that are meaningless that you're wasting your time on. So just a quick tangent, but it's a very helpful thing that I have done that's helped me at times when I've been feeling overwhelmed or less productive than I want to be.
I'm really having fun with this now, putting the moose on the table questions that are completely different than what you get on the app. And This is okay. The last one is the funniest. Here we go. So I mentioned who should pay for the first date. That's a moose on the table. If you say, I will, or they want, do you expect a kiss on the first date? And what would have to happen for you to have sex on the first date. Wouldn't that be great for them to actually, because
Yes.
then you learn so much about that person on, their expectations, how they're defining chemistry, all of that.
I just love the way that you express that. What would have to happen for you to have sex on the first date? Because it's too easy for people to just make a blanket, oh, I would never do that. Or, or I'm open to it. But when you really dig in there, I think that tells you so much more information than just sex on the first date, yes or no, which was our topic from a few weeks back for those that are enjoying the podcast here and want to go back and listen. It was a fun one.
Yeah, and watch.
Yes, listen, watch. Luckily, we don't have faces for radio. We're blessed to, not be that hard to look at. Thank God.
Yes, thank goodness. And if you've just tuned in, you're wondering what's going on in the studio today. This is Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course my Show Central podcast show playlist. My Dr. Marissa Pay YouTube TV channel that you're welcome to free subscribe on, or subscribe and get a little something for $2.99 a month or $4. So we are talking, because James is here, it is Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
James Earl Jones fan, James Hawthorn.
He came and listened to me sing way back in the day when I was a lounge lizard in LA, and he complimented me on my voice.
Well, hey, a compliment on voice from James Earl Jones.
Right?
I mean, that's pretty much, God telling you that you're saintly.
That's like Oprah telling me that I have nice pants, which is another. I have a good collection of compliments, right?
Yeah, it's good to remember those. A lot of times we have a really tough time taking a compliment. I know I do. And it's good to kind of keep your heart open to that sort of thing. It's like one of those disciplines. And when you're having a bad day, it's nice to remember the kind things that people have said about you, I think.
Yes, for sure. All right. You give me a moose on the table question.
Let's see. We covered sex on the first date. That's there, and the kiss, and who pays, and who asks who out on the date. I mean, a lot of these questions unfortunately are things that I'm just used to seeing, and I think are so. How active are they? Some people are really like, let's just watch movies and play video games.
That's a good.
And other people are, let's go climb a mountain and jump in the ocean in the same day.
Right. So how about what turns you off about so I'm trying to do a couple things. One is ask in a different way than all the swiping profiles, right? And get to the bottom, or because I like it on the bottom of that question. So you're talking about, different likes about
here's a good one. A good one.
Yeah.
What is your sexual kryptonite? That which just, weakens the knees and brings you to the mattress.
Okay.
What quality in a person? And it could be a physical thing, it could be a behavioral thing.
Okay. So what is your biggest
sexual kryptonite, or your chemistry kryptonite? What is it that just makes a person irresistible to you?
Your sexual
or chemistry kryptonite, because it's not necessarily something in their physicality or their because people might automatically go to, when they touch me right here behind the ear on the back of the neck, or
nice.
So it could be that, or it could be when somebody gives me gifts, or somebody does very thoughtful things around the house without me having to ask. I mean, it could be something as mundane as that makes you want to make love passionately to that person.
What?
Or another way to say it is, what makes you want to get jiggy with that individual?
see what we got here. Whoops, wrong one. Okay.
Yeah, your toes curl, your knees buckle.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I like that. We can always
Okay.
tweak it a little bit.
So what
Now there is one thing. These questions are really great, but are these candidates that we have brave enough to answer them for us to share on the air? That's the next litmus test. We got to see if these folks are brave enough to answer all these moose on the table questions, huh?
Well, they don't have to be on camera.
True.
Right?
Yes.
So that's one. And I mean, we're not doing a dating game that's like every other dating game. We really want to get to the moose on the table, which
That's correct.
Put in there. So it's going to have to be a qualification if they want to come on the show, literally come on the show.
Now that's the kind of dating show that I want to listen to. But didn't Howard Stern already pioneer that back in the 70s?
I don't know.
Have all these adult video stars on the air, and oh man. But hey,
well, I just got invited on a show.
So why not?
Yeah. I on my boat, we won another first place, by the way. I race sailboats. So a lot of you know if you're on my social Doc Balance on Instagram. And we had a guest on the boat, and I met him, and I don't know if you know who Wee Man is.
Yeah, he was on he was on all the Jack Arse movies.
Jack,
I don't know if I can say that.
Ash.
Yeah,
I say
yeah.
Ash. Yeah. He
Jack
was on
Asphalt movies.
Yes. So
which
he
is
invited
usually where
me on
they
his show.
smack down upon when doing a trick.
He invited me on his show, and I invited him on my show.
Fun.
Now, he has warned me, and I warned him, I'm under FCC. So we're going to do a G-rated show on this one. Maybe I'll have him come on this on the series. I think you would enjoy that. And then his partner, who does a podcast, they've been doing it for a year. Apparently, because he already said you're going to have to, be XX, not G on there. And my sailing friend said, you might want to take a look at the podcast before you agree to go on. So yeah. So that might
fun. Wing it.
That might be the Howard Stern version on his show.
Wing it with Wee Man. What do you have to lose? Go for it.
So okay. So
really quick, because we just have a couple minutes left. One thing I wanted to toss out, I would love to get the audience's feedback, whether it's comments on the YouTube page on this particular episode, whether you like or dislike this idea. But Dr. Marissa and I tossed out the possibility of, is love blind or is love deaf, where you decide whether you like somebody based on what they have to say in their voice without seeing them. And then the other one would be just on appearance, and seeing where we have more success in matches on just the looks, or if what a person says and how they say it is a strong indicator or not.
So I just thought of something else, and if I forget to say it, I don't want to forget. So we could do a progression. So we do a thumbs up, thumbs down, first on the look, okay, or second, and then every time they answer a question, that person can react plus or minus. So we can have multiple people on the show at the same time and do it by elimination.
That's right. When the thumbs, stop coming up, wow, that's an interesting effect. When the thumbs start, 4th of July on my screen now. When the thumbs start,
I think that's our warning that we need to sign off. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. This is Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
James Hawthorn. Thank you for helping us
Straight
craft
Talk
our
dating
game
in process. It's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. If you're interested in doing the Straight Talk dating game, please do message either one of us. Instagram, Action
Man Fitness,
and just Google Asian Oprah or Dr. Marissa and you'll find me. All right. Have the best day ever. Tomorrow, don't forget, it is the Hollywood Rebel Report with Ricky Rebel. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about skincare. He's streaming from outside of LA. We'll do that tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Have the best day ever.